The call beyond the stars. In the infinite silence of space, a single signal broke through the void. What was it? A call for help? A warning? Or something far more sinister? On the planet Aura, a world glowing with starlit cities and boundless innovation, astronomer Dallin sat in his observatory, unaware that his discovery would change everything. A faint pulse of energy appeared on his instruments, a rhythmic, deliberate pattern that defied explanation. Could it be random interference? A cosmic anomaly? Or a message? The signal's origin was baffling, a solar system beyond the known edges of the universe. Who, or what, could send such a thing? And why now? As Dallin analyzed the data, the implications became clear. This was no accident. It was deliberate, calculated, and urgent. But what could it mean? And what dangers might await those who answered its call? With the weight of the unknown pressing down, the people of Aura made a bold decision, to send a crew into the void. Their mission? To uncover the truth behind the mysterious signal and confront whatever awaited them in the dark reaches of space. Thus began an epic journey, a fight for survival, discovery, and the enduring hope that light could prevail over shadow. Would they succeed? Or would they become lost in the void, another unanswered question in the vastness of the cosmos? The mysterious signal. It was an ordinary night on Aura, or so it seemed. The skies shimmered with countless stars, their light reflecting off the towering, futuristic cities below. In his observatory perched high above the bustling world, Dallin, a renowned astronomer, was immersed in his usual work. But tonight, something was different, something extraordinary was about to unfold. As Dallin adjusted his instruments, an anomaly flickered onto his screen. A faint signal, barely noticeable, pulsed in a rhythmic pattern. Was it a natural phenomenon? A distant star collapsing? Or perhaps, something more? He leaned closer, his mind racing. The pattern wasn't random, it was precise, deliberate, like a heartbeat. Could it be a message? But from where? And why now? Using Aura's most advanced quantum computers, Dallin began analyzing the signal. Hours turned into minutes, and with each passing second, the mystery deepened. Finally, the results were clear, the signal was no ordinary transmission. It was encoded with complex mathematical sequences, too intricate to be accidental. But what shocked him most wasn't the message itself, it was its origin. The signal came from a solar system far beyond the mapped universe, a place no one had ever dared to explore. How could such a message travel that far? Who, or what, could send it? And what was its purpose? Dallin's discovery spread quickly, reaching the Cosmic Science Council, the most esteemed minds on Aura. Some called it a beacon of hope, others a warning, and a few whispered fears of a trap set by an unknown force. What would they find if they answered the call? Salvation? Or destruction? After days of debate, the council reached a decision: a mission would be launched. A crew would be assembled, and a ship, the Victorious, the most advanced vessel ever built, would carry them into the unknown. Their goal? To uncover the truth behind the signal and, perhaps, save the universe from a danger they could not yet comprehend. As Dallin stared at the stars from his observatory that night, he couldn't shake a feeling that this was only the beginning. What awaited them in the void? Wonders beyond imagination? Or horrors they couldn't escape? The call had been made. The journey had begun. But where would it end? The voyage of the Victorious. The decision was made. Humanity would answer the call. On the advanced planet of Aura, preparations for the most daring mission in history began. At the center of it all was the Victorious, a sleek, cutting-edge spaceship designed to brave the unknown. Would it be enough? Could technology and courage withstand the vast, unpredictable dangers of the cosmos? The Victorious wasn't just a ship, it was a masterpiece of innovation. Its hull, crafted from nanometal alloys, shimmered under the lights of Aura's massive spaceport. Inside, its Nova drive promised near-light-speed travel, powered by harvested stellar energy. Guiding it all was Aura Nova, an artificial intelligence so advanced it bordered on sentience. But even the best technology couldn't guarantee success. What lay beyond the edges of the known universe? And was the crew truly ready for what they might face? the crew itself was a testament to Aura's finest. At the helm was Captain Linera Solaris, a fearless leader known for her quick thinking and unwavering resolve. Could her experience guide them through the unknown? By her side stood Dalincor, the astronomer whose discovery had sparked the mission. His intellect was unmatched, but was his curiosity enough to overcome the fears lurking in his mind? Joining them was Elias Trick, a brilliant engineer who had practically built the Victorious with his own hands. His sharp wit and technical expertise were invaluable, but could even he handle the pressures of the uncharted void? And then there was Nera Kalin, a xenobiologist whose passion for life beyond Aura's borders burned brighter than the stars themselves. Was she prepared for the alien wonders, or horrors, they might encounter? As the Victorious stood ready for departure, the atmosphere in the spaceport was electric. Thousands of citizens gathered to watch, their eyes filled with awe and hope. Would this crew return as heroes, or not return at all? Inside the ship, the crew prepared for the journey. Linera addressed them with a calm yet commanding voice. We're not just exploring space. We're answering a call, one that could change everything. This mission is bigger than any one of us. We'll face challenges we can't yet imagine, but together, we will endure. Together, we will find the truth. The countdown began. The Nova drive roared to life, and with a burst of radiant energy, the Victorious ascended into the star-filled sky. Was this the beginning of humanity's greatest triumph, or its darkest chapter? As the ship left Aura's atmosphere, the familiar lights of the planet faded, replaced by the endless expanse of space. Inside the command deck, the crew adjusted to their new reality. Dallin studied the pulsating signal, his mind filled with questions. What if it's a warning? He asked aloud. Or a trap? Elias smirked, his usual humor cutting through the tension. Then let's hope they're bad at setting traps. But even his levity couldn't erase the growing sense of unease. The stars beyond Aura grew distant, replaced by the dark, uncharted reaches of the universe. Each passing moment brought them closer to the source of the signal, and to the unknown dangers that surely awaited them. Would the Victorious live up to its name? Or would its journey end in silence, like so many before it? The crew could only move forward, guided by their courage and the faint pulse of a signal that might hold the key to humanity's survival, or its undoing. The first encounter with the unknown. The Victorious plunged deeper into the uncharted expanse, leaving the familiar constellations of Aura far behind. Around them stretched the vast darkness of the universe, unbroken except by the faint glimmer of distant galaxies. Inside the ship, tension mounted with every passing moment. What lay ahead? A welcoming beacon? Or a deadly trap? As the crew approached the coordinates of the signal, strange anomalies began to occur. Instruments flickered erratically, readings spiked and dropped, and the ship itself seemed to hum with an unfamiliar energy. Was it the environment? Or something watching them from the shadows? Captain Oranova's voice chimed in, calm but insistent. Energy field detected ahead. Properties unknown. Caution is advised. Linera Solaris stood at the command deck, her sharp eyes scanning the main display. There it was, a swirling field of energy, both mesmerizing and foreboding. Twisting ribbons of light and shadow spiraled together in a chaotic dance. Hold course, Linera ordered. Prepare for potential turbulence. The Victorious moved closer, and the field grew in intensity, its patterns becoming more deliberate, almost alive. Then, without warning, the ship shuddered violently. Lights flickered, and a low, resonating hum filled the corridors. What the hell was that? Elias Trick called from his station, his hands moving frantically over the controls. It's like something's trying to get in, but not physically. Suddenly, a blinding light filled the command deck. The crew shielded their eyes as a shape began to form in the center of the room. It wasn't human, it wasn't even solid. The figure seemed made of pure, radiant energy, its edges constantly shifting and shimmering as if it existed on the boundary between reality and imagination. What is that? Nera Kalin whispered, her voice trembling. The figure didn't speak aloud. Instead, its voice resonated directly in their minds, a harmonious blend of tones that felt almost musical. I am Sirin, it said. A messenger of light. You have entered a place where the boundaries of light and shadow converge. Your journey has been observed. Your intentions, tested. Tested? Linera stepped forward, her tone firm but curious. If you know why we're here, then you know we're following the signal. Is it a call for help? A warning? Or something else? Surin's glowing form flickered for a moment before responding. The signal is both, it said. A warning of the shadow's growing power, and a plea for salvation. What lies ahead is beyond your understanding. But be warned, the shadows will not welcome your light. Before they could ask more, alarms blared across the ship. The swirling energy field outside had begun to change. Tendrils of shadow erupted from its core, twisting and writhing as they reached for the Victorious. It's attacking! Dalincor shouted, panic creeping into his voice. Surin's voice echoed again, calm but urgent. The eternal shadow senses your presence. It seeks to extinguish your light. You must move forward, or be consumed. Linera reacted instantly. Elias, reinforce the shields. Nova, chart a course through the field, now. The Victorious surged forward, its engines roaring as it pushed into the chaos. Shadowy tendrils lashed against the ship, sending violent tremors through its structure. Sparks flew from control panels, and the crew struggled to maintain balance. This is insane! Elias yelled, his hands working frantically. The shields won't hold much longer. We don't have a choice. Linera snapped back. Keep us steady. As the ship fought to escape, Surin hovered near Linera. Its light dimmed slightly, as if strained by the oppressive darkness. The path forward lies within, it said. To confront the shadow, you must reach its source. But beware, the closer you come, the stronger it becomes. With a final burst of energy, the Victorious broke through the field, emerging into a brief moment of calm. The crew caught their breath, but the silence was heavy with unspoken fears. They had faced only a fragment of the Eternal Shadow's power, and it had nearly overwhelmed them. Linera turned to her team, her voice steady but resolute. We've seen what we're up against, she said. But we didn't come this far to turn back. Whatever the shadow is, we'll face it together. The crew nodded, their resolve solidifying despite the uncertainty ahead. Beyond the field lay the source of the signal, and the heart of the shadow itself. Would they have the strength to withstand its full power? Or would they be consumed, their light snuffed out like so many before them? The answers awaited in the void. The planet of shadows. The Victorious emerged from the energy field, battered but intact, into an eerie stillness. Before them lay Nixera, a world cloaked in darkness. Its surface was barely visible, illuminated only by faint, ghostly glows emanating from jagged crystalline spires scattered across the landscape. Rivers of liquid shadow snaked through the terrain, their movements unnervingly alive. What was this place? A graveyard of a lost civilization? Or a battlefield abandoned to eternal shadow? Inside the command deck, the crew stared in silence. The oppressive sight of the planet seemed to sap the very light from the stars around it. This is it, Dalincor said softly. The source of the signal, it's coming from beneath the surface. Oranova's voice chimed in, calm but urgent, atmospheric conditions highly unstable. Energy signatures suggest a hostile environment. Extreme caution is advised. Linera Solaris stood firm, her expression unwavering as she gazed at the foreboding planet below. Prepare the landing craft, she ordered. We're going down. The descent. The smaller exploration vessel detached from the Victorious, its engines glowing faintly as it descended into Nixera's dark atmosphere. As the craft pierced through layers of swirling shadow, the air grew thick, pressing against the hull like an unseen weight. Outside, the faintly glowing spires loomed closer, casting jagged silhouettes across the surface. Is it just me, Elias Trick muttered, gripping the controls, or does it feel like this planet is watching us? No readings suggest sentience, Oranova responded. But anomalous energy fluctuations detected. Recommend increased vigilance. The landing craft touched down on a barren plateau, surrounded by the eerie crystalline structures. The ground beneath them was dark and glassy, as if scorched by some ancient force. The oppressive silence was broken only by the faint hum of the ship's systems. As the crew disembarked, Nera Kalin activated her environmental scanner, her face tightening as she read the data. This planet isn't just hostile, it's alive in some way, she said. The crystals are emitting energy, but it's fractured, like they're fighting against something. Elias knelt by one of the spires, his tools whirring as he examined its structure. This isn't just random energy, he said. It's interacting with the shadows. It's almost like they're two sides of the same force. Before anyone could respond, a low, resonant sound echoed across the landscape. It wasn't mechanical or organic, it was something in between. What was that? Dallin whispered, his voice barely audible. Linara's voice cut through the growing tension. Stay sharp. We don't know what's out there, but it knows we're here. Shadows in the dark. As the crew moved cautiously across the terrain, the shadows around them seemed to shift, creeping closer with every step. Suddenly, dark shapes began to emerge from the rivers of liquid shadow, figures that moved fluidly, their forms constantly shifting and rippling. What are those things? Nara gasped, her scanner crackling with interference. Siren, the ethereal being of light, appeared before them, its glow flickering weakly in the oppressive environment. They are remnants of the eternal shadow's will, it said. Constructs of pure darkness, left to guard this place. They seek to extinguish any light that dares to challenge them. The shadowy constructs moved closer, their forms growing more distinct and menacing. Linara raised her weapon, but Siren's voice stopped her. Your weapons will not harm them. Only the light can push them back. The crew activated their portable light emitters, bathing the area in radiant beams. The constructs hissed and recoiled, their forms dissipating wherever the light touched them. They're vulnerable to light, Linara said, her voice firm. Keep them at bay while we move forward. The descent into darkness. Guided by the signal, the crew reached a massive chasm at the edge of the plateau. The fissure stretched deep into the planet, its walls faintly glowing with a mixture of light and shadow. The signal pulsed stronger here, vibrating through the air like a heartbeat. This is it, Dallin said, staring into the abyss. The source is down there. Elias secured the team's descent equipment, his usual confidence tempered by unease. Let's hope this chasm doesn't decide to swallow us whole, he muttered, half joking. As they descended into the darkness, the air grew colder and heavier. The faint glow of the crystals above faded, replaced by an oppressive blackness. The only light came from their emitters and the faint shimmer of Siren hovering beside them. The deeper you go, Siren warned, the stronger the shadow becomes. Be prepared, it will not let you reach its heart without a fight. The heart of Nixura. At the bottom of the chasm, the crew found themselves in a vast underground cavern. The walls pulsed faintly with light, covered in intricate carvings that seemed to depict an ancient battle. Nara traced her fingers along the carvings, her voice hushed with awe. This civilization, they were fighting something. Something they couldn't stop. In the center of the cavern stood the ecliptic core, a towering crystalline structure radiating a faint, rhythmic glow. Its light seemed to pulse in sync with the signal they had followed. This is it, Dallin said, his voice a mixture of awe and dread. This is what called us here. But before they could approach the core, the ground trembled violently. Shadows poured into the cavern like a flood, coalescing into massive, amorphous forms. The eternal shadow was here, and it wasn't going to let them succeed without a fight. Linara drew herself up, her voice calm but resolute despite the chaos. We didn't come this far to fail. Whatever it takes, we hold the light. The crew activated their emitters, their light cutting through the darkness as the battle for Nixura, and perhaps the universe, began. The mission to activate the core. The cavern at the heart of Nixura was vast and imposing, its walls pulsating faintly with a mixture of light and shadow. At its center stood the ecliptic core, a towering crystalline structure radiating a dim, rhythmic glow. It seemed to be alive, as though it were waiting, expecting them. Was this the source of hope? Or the beginning of their end? The crew of the Victoria stood at the edge of the chamber, their eyes fixed on the core. The faint pulse matched the signal that had brought them across the universe, but now, up close, its power felt overwhelming. This is it, Dallin said, his voice filled with awe. This is what called us here. But as they stepped closer, a deep rumble echoed through the chamber. The ground shook, and shadowy tendrils began to seep from the walls, writhing and twisting as they moved toward the core. Captain, Oranova warned through their communicators. Hostile energy signatures are converging on your position. Immediate action is advised. Lineara Solaris didn't hesitate. Elias, Nera, figure out how to activate that thing. Dallin, keep tracking the signal. Everyone else, hold the line. The Core's purpose. As the team worked, Sirin, the ethereal guide, appeared beside the Core. Its light flickered, dimmer than before, as though the oppressive darkness of the chamber was draining it. The ecliptic core was built by those who came before, Sirin explained, its voice heavy with sorrow. They sought to contain the eternal shadow, but their efforts failed. The core was meant to balance light and darkness, but now it lies dormant. Only by reactivating it can you stop the shadow's spread. But how do we do that? Elias asked, frantically scanning the core's structure. Sirin's form shimmered, pointing toward the crystalline surface. It requires energy, pure, untainted light. Your ship, the Victorious, carries the power you need. But be warned, the process will drain everything. Your vessel may not survive. Elias froze for a moment before nodding. If that's what it takes, then we'll do it. Nova, begin routing the ship's energy to the core. We'll manage the connections from here. A fight against the shadows. As the team connected conduits from their portable generators to the core, the shadows in the chamber grew more aggressive. They coalesced into larger, more defined forms, towering constructs of darkness that moved with terrifying purpose. They're protecting the core, Nera said, her voice shaking as she aimed her light emitter. They know what we're trying to do. Lineara raised her voice above the chaos. Hold them back. Whatever it takes, give Elias the time he needs. The battle was relentless. The shadows lashed out with tendrils that seemed to sap the light from their emitters, forcing the crew to retreat and regroup constantly. They're adapting. Dallin shouted. The longer we take, the stronger they get. Sirin moved among them, its light pushing back the darkness where it could stay focused. It urged. The light within you is stronger than the shadow, it must be. A desperate gamble. As Elias finished the final connection, the core began to hum with power. Its glow intensified, and the crystalline structure pulsed with energy that rippled through the chamber. But something was wrong. It's not enough, Elias said, his voice laced with panic. The core needs more power, more than we can give from here. Sirin hovered near Lineara, its form flickering weakly. The star's alive, it said. They can amplify the energy. But their sacrifice will be great. Lineara's expression hardened. We didn't come here to fail. Do it. Through their connection with the Victorious, the stars alive, those radiant, sentient beings of light, channeled their energy into the core. The room blazed with brilliance, forcing the shadows back. But the strain was visible, the stars flickered and dimmed, their energy waning. We're losing them, Dallin said, his voice breaking. They won't survive this. Sirin's voice echoed solemnly, their light was always meant to guide others. Now it will save you. The core awakens. With a deafening roar, the core fully activated. A wave of radiant light burst forth, filling the chamber and beyond. The shadows recoiled violently, their forms disintegrating under the intense glow. The entire cavern shook as the core unleashed its power, sealing the fractures that had allowed the eternal shadow to spread. We did it! Elias shouted, relief flooding his voice. But the celebration was short-lived. Oranova's voice cut through the comms, warning, energy levels critical. Structural collapse imminent. Evacuate immediately. Lineara took charge. Everyone to the escape pods. Move! As the crew scrambled to escape, Lineara hesitated, her eyes fixed on the core. What about the Victorious? She asked. It won't survive, Nova replied. Its energy reserves are depleted. But its sacrifice ensured the mission's success. Lineara gave a small, solemn nod. Then let it be remembered. A narrow escape. The crew reached their escape pods just as the cavern began to collapse. With one final look at the glowing core, they launched into the void, the destruction of the chamber echoing behind them. From the safety of orbit, they watched as the light of the core spread across Nixera, banishing the darkness and restoring balance to the planet. But their triumph was bittersweet. The Victorious, their ship and their home, was gone. The stars alive, their allies in the fight, had given everything. And the battle had left scars they would carry forever. Lenara's voice broke the silence in the escape pod. We did what we came to do. The light endures. That's what matters. The crew nodded, their faces marked by exhaustion and determination. Ahead of them lay the journey home, and the promise to honor the sacrifices that had made their victory possible. The triumphant sacrifice. The Victorious was gone. The crew's escape pods floated in orbit above Nixera, silent witnesses to the devastation and triumph below. From their vantage point, they could see the planet transforming. The once ominous surface, shrouded in darkness, now glowed faintly with a golden hue, as if Nixera itself was breathing for the first time in millennia. Inside the escape pods, the crew watched in silence, their hearts heavy with the weight of what they had just endured. They had activated the ecliptic core, destroyed the eternal shadow, and saved Nixera, but at an immeasurable cost. Their ship, the Victorious, and the stars alive, their luminous allies, had given everything to ensure the mission's success. Dalincor leaned against the pod's viewport, his eyes locked on the glowing planet below. We did it, he whispered. The shadow is gone. The light, it's alive again. Beside him, Nera Kalen placed a hand on his shoulder. But at what cost, she murmured. The Victorious, the stars, even the core itself. So much was lost to make this happen. A glimpse of hope. As the crew processed their bittersweet victory, Oranova, the ship's AI, transmitted a final message from the remnants of the Victorious. Its voice, though faint, carried a note of pride. The mission is complete. The eternal shadow has been eradicated. Nixera's light has been restored. The sacrifices made were not in vain. Captain Linera Solaris nodded, her face a mix of exhaustion and resolve. We didn't just save a planet, she said. We stopped something that could have consumed everything. We gave the universe a second chance. Suddenly, the pod's sensors detected a new energy signature emanating from the core. It wasn't hostile, it was calm, rhythmic, and deliberate. What is that? Dallin asked, his voice tinged with wonder. Nera scanned the data, her expression softening. It's the core. It's sending out a new signal, a beacon of light. It's as if it's calling out to the stars. The farewell of the stars alive. As the beacon pulsed, the crew felt a strange, warm sensation. Serin, the ethereal guide who had been with them through so much, appeared one final time, its light dim but steady. The stars alive have completed their purpose, it said. Their light now flows through the core, ensuring its balance. Though they are gone, their essence will guide all who follow. Dallin's voice trembled. They're truly gone? Serin nodded. Gone, but not forgotten. Their light endures in every star, every breath of life that now thrives because of them. The crew sat in silence, absorbing the weight of those words. The stars alive had not just been allies, they had been guardians of hope, and their loss was a reminder of the fragile balance between light and shadow. Returning home. As the escape pods aligned with Aura's beacon, the crew prepared for their return. The once oppressive silence inside the pods was now filled with quiet determination. They had faced the unknown, endured the unthinkable, and emerged victorious. Lenara's voice cut through the quiet as she addressed her team. We've done what we set out to do, she said. The Victorious may be gone, but its name will live on, as a symbol of what humanity can achieve when we stand together. Let's make sure we honor its legacy. Nixera's light. As the crew left Nixera behind, the planet's transformation was undeniable. Its faint golden glow now radiated across the void, a testament to the power of the core and the sacrifices that had reignited its light. Where there had once been only darkness, there was now hope, a beacon for the galaxy to see. Nera smiled faintly as she looked back at the glowing world. Maybe one day, she said, life will return to Nixera. Maybe the shadows won't be the last chapter of its story. Dallin nodded, his eyes fixed on the distant glow. It's more than a planet now, he said. It's a promise, that even in the darkest places, light can endure. A message to the stars. As the escape pods neared Aura, a faint transmission crackled through the comms. It was Lenara's voice, recorded during the mission and transmitted from the remnants of the Victorious. If you're hearing this, it means we succeeded. The shadow is gone, and the light endures. Remember the cost, and remember the promise. Never stop searching, never stop believing, and never let the light fade. Her words echoed in the crew's hearts, a reminder of the courage and sacrifice that had brought them to this moment. The beginning of a new chapter. When the crew landed on Aura, they were met with thunderous applause and tearful embraces. Their story became a legend, a testament to the strength of unity and the enduring power of hope. As the crew stepped out onto their homeworld, Linera paused to look up at the night sky. The stars seemed brighter than ever, their light a silent promise that the fight against the darkness was worth it. And so, the journey of the victorious came to an end, but its legacy lived on, a beacon for all who dared to dream of a brighter future. The eternal legacy. The universe had changed. The story of the victorious and its crew echoed across star systems, spreading hope and inspiration to civilizations far and wide. Their sacrifice wasn't just a moment in history, it became a cornerstone of what humanity could achieve when driven by unity and purpose. On Aura, the aftermath of their mission was both somber and celebratory. The crew had returned as heroes, but the absence of the victorious and the luminous stars alive left a void that could never be filled. Yet, from that void, something extraordinary began to grow. The Monument to Light. In the heart of Aura's capital, a towering monument was erected in honor of the victorious and its crew. The spire of crystalline light rose high into the heavens, its surface refracting sunlight into brilliant rainbows that danced across the sky. Beneath it, an eternal flame burned softly, its glow a testament to the sacrifices that had reignited hope across the galaxy. At the base of the monument, an inscription read, "To the crew of the victorious, guardians of the light. Their courage, their sacrifice, and their unwavering belief in a better tomorrow shall guide us forever." The unveiling ceremony brought together countless citizens from Aura and beyond. They stood in silence, gazing at the spire as Captain Linera Solaris, etched into their hearts, became a symbol of resilience and determination. The beacon of Nixura. Far from Aura, the planet Nixura continued its transformation. Once a world of shadow and despair, it had become a beacon of light. The ecliptic core, fully restored, pulsed with a steady rhythm, sending waves of radiant energy into the cosmos. Life, dormant for centuries, began to stir once more. The rivers of shadow had receded, replaced by streams of shimmering light that carved pathways through the now thriving crystalline landscape. For the crew, the thought of Nixura's revival was bittersweet. "It's beautiful," Nera Kalin said one evening as she studied the planet's latest data. "It's proof that even in the darkest places, life can take root again." Dallin Kor nodded, his gaze distant. "Nixura isn't just a planet anymore," he said. "It's a promise, a reminder that light can endure, even when all seems lost." A message from the stars. Weeks after their return, Dallin sat alone in his observatory, gazing at the stars that had once been his guide. The signal that had called them to Nixura was gone, replaced by a faint but deliberate pulse emanating from the core. And then, something extraordinary happened. The pulse changed, just slightly, but enough to catch his attention. It wasn't a warning or a cry for help. It was a message. The light endures. It reaches you. And it will guide those who follow. Dallin's heart swelled. Somewhere, far beyond the boundaries of the known universe, someone, or something, had heard the story of the victorious. The light they had fought to preserve was spreading, carrying their legacy into the vast unknown. The crew's legacy. The crew of the victorious each found their way forward, carrying the weight of their mission and the lessons they had learned. Captain Linera Solaris, though gone, remained a guiding force in their lives. Her leadership and courage became a benchmark for future explorers, her name immortalized in the annals of galactic history. Elias Trick dedicated himself to developing sustainable technologies inspired by the ecliptic core, ensuring that light would continue to be a source of life and progress. Nera Kalin spearheaded efforts to study Nixura's revival, turning its transformation into a model for restoring other worlds scarred by darkness. Dallin Kor, forever changed by his journey, became a storyteller, ensuring that the tale of the victorious and the stars alive would never be forgotten. The eternal flame. Years later, Dallin stood beneath the spire of the victorious monument, gazing at the eternal flame. The world around him had grown brighter, more unified, and filled with a renewed sense of purpose. In his hands was a final message, a memoir of their journey and its significance. As he prepared to place it in the archives, he whispered to the flame. We fought for the light, not just because it could save us, but because it defines us. It connects us, binds us, and reminds us of who we are. And as long as there is light, there is hope. With those words, he turned and walked away, leaving the flame to burn on, its glow a silent reminder that even in the darkest corners of the universe, light would always find a way to endure. The light that endures. The stars shone brighter now. To the people of Aura and beyond, the story of the victorious was no longer just a mission, it was a legacy. A tale of courage, sacrifice, and the unyielding belief that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, light could prevail. High above Aura's glittering cities, the monument of light stood tall, its crystalline spire refracting the sun's rays into cascading rainbows that painted the sky. Beneath it, the eternal flame burned softly, a tribute to the sacrifices made and the lives forever changed. Pilgrims from across the galaxy came to witness it, drawn by the story of a crew who dared to answer a call from the unknown. Among them, Dallin Kor often sat quietly, gazing at the flame. He had spent years ensuring their story was told, every struggle, every triumph, every loss. The signal that had started it all now seemed distant, yet its impact remained vivid. One evening, as Dallin looked up at the stars, a faint pulse caught his eye on the observatory's instruments. It was soft and rhythmic, unmistakably deliberate. Another signal? Another mystery? He smiled, his heart brimming with hope. The light endures, he whispered. And so does the journey. As Dallin recorded his final thoughts, he reflected on the message left by Captain Linera Solaris. The shadow is gone, but the light is not ours to keep. It must be shared, nurtured, and protected. To all who come after us, never stop seeking the stars, and never let the light fade. Her words, etched into the hearts of millions, became a guiding principle for explorers, dreamers, and visionaries across the galaxy. The victorious was gone, but its spirit lived on, in the stars, in the hearts of those it had inspired, and in the legacy of a light that would never be extinguished. The universe, vast and mysterious, still held countless questions. But for those who gazed at the night sky, there was no fear, only wonder. For they knew, wherever there was darkness, there would always be someone willing to carry the light forward.